Welcome to this episode of The Gunman. This is part 9 of the transformation of my XF Falcon into a replica race car. This episode will cover clear coat on the exterior bolt-on panels. So we've got the 4 doors and the bonnet. The boot lid was done at the same time as the body. So it's just a relatively short video. It's only 11 minutes and it's just the clear coat. The previous video was the base coat on these panels, and the next video will begin day 3 of work. So it'll be starting to do some prep work on how to do the racing stripes on some of the panels. So I'm using the DeVilbiss GTI Pro with the T2 air cap on it, which is a very good gun, very efficient, and as you can see, it's got a nice big fan on it, and it gets it on nice and flat. So I'm using Standox Crystal Clear Pro HS for this job, and that's a 2-coat application. You put your first coat on, you then leave it for approximately 5 minutes in between coats, and you come in and put your next coat on. So sometimes I get some guys asking me, if you want to make your car look really, really nice, do you ever put 3 coats on it? And the answer is no. You don't want to overload too much paint on there, because if you get too much paint on your car, then that can lead to even bigger problems where you get a stone chip and it ends up like a really peeling back in a big area because you've got too much paint there. So 2 coats with 2-pack is really always going to be enough. Even if you did want to cut right into it and flatten it back, 2 coats is usually enough if you get it on nice and wet. So the paint livery on this was used, it's Peter Jackson Racing. There's a clip at the end. I'm sure most of you guys that are watching this have watched some of the other videos on it too. I've been uploading a video each week. This livery was used on the EB Falcon, so mine's an XF. It's not the exact same model what this livery was on. It was also used on the Ford Sierra Cosworth of the same era. This livery, the EB Falcon, actually won Bathurst, which for those of you who are not familiar with Australian motorsport, Bathurst is a very big race here in Australia. It's 1,000 kilometres and it goes for about 8 hours. Anyone who is into cars will know that from Australia. It's a great race. It's a great track too. It's Mount Panorama up there in central New South Wales. And it looks really cool. That's the reason I decided to paint it up like this. It's a nice blue, custom made that formula, and did the racing stripes and put all the decals on it, and put a bonnet scoop on it and the boot spoiler as well. So coming up in the next few weeks, those videos will be uploaded, including the fiberglass repairs which I did on the headlights, and also the paint stripping I had to do on the wheels too. So just topping up to do my last panel here. Like, comment and share. Dislike if you don't like the videos. Check me out on Facebook if you haven't already. There's a link in the description of all of my videos. There's a link to my Facebook page there. Check that out. I post links to every one of these videos as I upload them. So this was a relatively quick paint job I did. 3 days I got the body painted, and then the day after we started to put the panels on. I drove it home the week after doing a full week's work in between. Not on my car, that is. So that's the first coat, then gave that 5 minutes in between coats. There's a tack test that you can do. You can touch the masking next to the paint that you've put on, and if it's started to tack off, you'll know that it's right to go into the next coat. If it's still wet, if you can still move your finger around in the masking, well then you'll want to give it another couple more minutes. So you can see below those that swage line in that door. There was a few rough marks there because I didn't prime it and I didn't re-block it back, but it turned out that I deliberately left it like that. I wasn't too fussed about it because I knew that down below those lines is going to be second and third colour of the racing line. Reason I didn't do it all at the same time, those racing lines, was a couple of reasons. I could clear over this and then use the clear coat to stand back and use that sort of as a primer. So it saved me a step there, and it also allowed me to put the panels back on the car and make sure that the lines lined up 100% so that we don't, sometimes the panels may not line up exactly the same as what you think, so trying to mask that line straight through the bottom of those doors would prove quite impossible when they're off the car. So at the end, as I mentioned earlier, we've got to look at the car once it's finished off. There's one or two things that I still had to do to it. Just had to put the chrome rocker cover back on, which I've had chromed. I'm also thinking of looking into getting a chrome exhaust tip as well. And I'd like to enlarge one of the stickers on the fender. Maybe you can tell me what you guys think. Leave some feedback down the bottom. Tell me what you think of it. So second coat, I'm slowing down a little bit, making sure we get it on nice and wet, so we get it to flow out. I'm pretty happy with how it came up. Not much dust in it. Got this job off the gun, which means no polishing required. I was lucky enough to have my boss let me do this at my workplace, so there's a lot of panel shops that don't like their workers doing their own cars on the weekends and that, but my boss where I work now is pretty good for stuff like that. As long as you prove to him that you've worked well during the week, he's happy to let you do some stuff on your own cars occasionally. If you want to come down and check it out, we go to a bit of a car meet that is in Fremantle. If you're in the Perth area, come down and check it out. It's called Custom Cars and Coffee. It's on once a month in the summer months. In the colder months, it's not on quite as often. But there's loads of different nice cars down there. So if you're a car enthusiast, you should come down, check it out. If you're in the Perth area, Sunday mornings, once a month, check out. They've got a Facebook page. You can check them out on the internet on their webpage as well. My boss actually told me that he started it off with him and a few of his friends, this Custom Coffee and Car Club. They just went down there with 16 of them, and just on a Sunday morning it just got bigger and bigger, and it's massive now. They've got marquees with tents, and they've got coffee vans, and there's just people all over the place, and the street gets blocked off, and yeah, it's a good atmosphere. Loads of good cars there. Couple of links to a couple of my other vids at the very end too, if you want to check them out if you haven't already seen them, and a subscription link, so subscribe to my channel through YouTube if you haven't already. That way you can keep up to date with all my latest. So the Standox clear is really good clear here, and I'm able to lay it on really heavy without getting any dulling off, or it's not going to solvent boil on me. Solvent boil is where you can, or solvent pop it's sometimes known as, that's what we call it over here in Australia, where you can end up putting too much paint on sometimes, and it can lead to the paint dulling down and fading off, because you're trapping the solvents inside there. But I didn't get any of that. It's pretty good clear this, so paid a little bit extra for the good quality stuff. Any questions will be answered, just keep them in the comments box. I prefer no inboxes. Don't feel embarrassed to ask a question. I'm still learning. I'm interested to see if anyone's got anything they think that I can do to improve my work. So the best way is to put it in the comments boxes down below. That way other people can read it and learn. So I'm not answering individual questions, and other people can join in the conversation as well that way. So, big part of getting a good finish is just actually watching how it's going on. You just got to know the limitations, how far you can push the materials and stuff like that. That's how I'm able to get finishes like that. Just experience mainly. Knowing how far you can go with them before it runs, how far you can go before you will get that solvent boil and stuff like that. It turned out that I didn't end up baking this car, but if I was to, I would like to give it at least 10 minutes because I put it on so wet. It's on so wet that if you baked it straight away, you could end up getting solvent boil as well and trapping those solvents inside there. So you can see it's pretty much dead flat. There's not really any orange peel in there. And if you use this gum in the same settings, doing it the same way as I've done it, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to achieve the same results. Spray painting is a procedure, and if you follow the correct procedure, everyone should be able to get the good results. So, here's the car as it sits at the moment. Yeah, what do you think about that Bridgestone sticker there? Is it too small or not? Let us know what you think. I've got the XR6 headlights in there too. I think they're pretty cool. Got a nice bonnet scoop on it. Waiting on that chrome rocker cover. Pretty happy with this front windscreen sticker. It looks pretty cool. Maybe it would look good with a chrome exhaust tip on it too. I painted those on myself too, those tyres. Just found some white and some red. You can see we've taken a lot of attention to detail, touched up all the bolts on the inside on those hinges and stuff like that. Check out these links if you haven't already seen them. Click that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.